Karen.
Yeah, hi. Ara?
Yes, we're all here.
Good morning.
Great. Hello, Karen. We're starting soon. There you go.
Okay, so we're on?
Hello, hello.
Okay, so please mute yourselves, please. Thank you. Good morning. This is the time and place for the Planning Hearing Officer hearing for December 9th, 2020. My name is Milka Toledo, and I will be conducting the hearing as hearing officer. Due to the COVID-19 novel coronavirus and health recommendations from the LA County Health Department, this hearing is being conducted public virtually with no members of the public present. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of their homes to practice social distancing. The meeting can be viewed on local cable TV and is being streamlined online at the city's website at www.glendaleca.gov. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting the questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person. Today we have two cases involving discretionary permit applications. You can refer to the agenda for more information. I'm going to be taking the cases out of order, and so I'm going to move up 821 East Colorado Street, and then the second case we will hear is the 2508 St. Andrews Drive. Regarding the 828 East Colorado Street, PPRP 2010935. It's a parking reduction permit request. That case is being continued to January 13th, 2021. Again, it'll be continued to January 13th, 2021. So therefore, we will not hear the case today. If there's anyone in the audience on the lines, which I don't believe there are, wishing to speak on this case, please tune in on January 13th, 2021. With that, we will be hearing one item today, 2508 St. Andrews Drive. It is continued from December 2nd, it is continued from December 2nd, 2020. It's a variance case, PVAR 1726875, standards variance for lot size. The hearing will proceed as follows. I will read the description of the application request. I will read the reports received from other city departments. The case planner will make a brief overview of the case, give analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant will then be connected in by telephone, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support or in opposition to the application and interested parties will be connected by telephone to give comments, again clearly stating both name and address within a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments if desired in response to testimonies given by preceding speakers within a 5-minute time limit. I will read the letters or communications from interested parties, those in support, those are in opposition to the variance request, towards the end, since we have several. And last, the hearing will be closed and the case will be taken under submission. Findings. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the required findings set forth in the municipal code, then the project can either be approved or approved with conditions. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Decision. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Records of decisions for all projects will be posted online on the Planning Division website. Appeals. Under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, The decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal must contact the case planner to obtain forms and information regarding the appeal process and submittal. Public notice. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices which were mailed to property owners within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper. I would also like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the planning hearing officer hearing are televised live and may be viewed online on the city's website. So at this time, we're going to open up the case. It's variance case number PVAR 1726875. Location address is 2508 St. Andrews Drive. Standards variance for lot size. The applicant is requesting the approval of a standards variance to construct a new approximately 2,010 square foot, 3-story, single-family residence with an attached 2-car garage on a vacant 6,708 square foot lot, which is less than the code required 7,500 square foot minimum lot size in the R1R restricted residential zone, FAR District 3. Aside from the lot size, the project meets all other zoning requirements, and the lot features an average current slope of 60%. Environmental determination. The project is exempt from CEQA review as a Class 3 new construction or conversion of small structures. Exemption pursuant to state CEQA guidelines section 15303 because the project involves development of one single-family residence. I'm going to go over some of the comments received from other city divisions before turning it over to the case planner for their analysis and recommendation. So from Building and Safety, we have standard comments to obtain all required permits from Building and Safety, comply with the building code. Premises shall be made available and accessible to authorized city personnel for inspection to ascertain all conditions of approval. The structure or building on the hillside slope with greater than 33% shall comply with section 1615 special hillside guidelines requirement. That additional or other building code requirements or specific requirements may be required upon submittal of plans for building plan check. Fire engineering staff show compliance with CFC 2016, specifically Fire Department Access, CFC Section 504. Comments from GWP, electric and water. The general comments. Contact GWP to determine electrical service requirements. Project to provide electrical service, size signal, single line diagram and electric load calculation per National Electric Code. Developer is responsible for all current costs of water service and installation, fire line connections that are required when no longer needed by the customer it must be permanently abandoned, disconnected. Fire department approval exemption shall be obtained. Public Works Engineering. Comply with NPDES requirements. Proposal of the development should not encroach within the existing 5-foot sewer easement along the west side of the property. Applicant shall dedicate to the city a driveway easement on St. Andrews Drive, sufficient area to accommodate the construction of standard driveway apron. Applicant shall perform at their expense street improvements along the entire frontage of St. Andrews Drive. per the requirements of, or to the satisfaction of the Director of Public Works. Construct a new concrete curb. Standard apron requirements for the driveway for construction purposes. Separate permits for work in the right-of-way. And again, I'm just summarizing, I'm not going through each one. You can obtain copies of these comments from the case planner. Traffic comments will be heard subsequently. Coordinate to obtain city urban foresters mitigation measures for the protected trees. Okay. Traffic, contractors should install no parking anytime sign within 15 feet away from the fire hydrant as part of the new development. Contractor may require traffic control plan prior to the grading phase of the project. And contractors shall not store trash bins or any equipment in the right-of-way. Urban forestry. Our arborist technician had comments regarding the indigenous trees. Forestry has reviewed the project survey and site plan and conducted a limited visual assessment of the site from St. Andrews Drive. The location of several oak trees on the project survey appear incomplete and potentially incorrect. The project footprint and proposed grading appear to require the removal of at least one oak tree on site. It will be a requirement of the applicant to correctly locate the trunk and canopy spread of all protected trees on the site plan. Provide indigenous tree report prepared by a qualified consulting arborist. Site plan appears to propose a removal of one oak tree on the lower slope for the purpose of constructing an outdoor patio and terrace garden. Protected oak trees along the ravine, along the perimeter of the lot appear to be proposed for preservation, but the degree of impact from the grading proposed to occur adjacent to these trees is unclear. In general, forestry encourages the applicants who are proposing to build an undeveloped oak woodland to minimize the project footprint, avoid non-essential amenities, utilize low-impact construction methods and practices, retain the natural wooded character of the lot, preserve as many trees as possible, and integrate the existing oak, the natural grade of the lot into the project's landscape plan. Now that appears to be comments that are dated back in August 29th of 2019. However, we have updated comments from Urban Forestry dated December 4th, 2019. And according to this updated report or comments from the city's arborist, it states the project as proposed appears supportable by forestry on the following conditions. Applicant explores options to modify the design and retain oak tree number 1. If it is not feasible, the remaining oak trees are to be protected in place, and 4 new oak trees are to be planted on site. There's a description of each oak and a summary of the site. So oak tree number 1 is a semi-mature oak, post-live oak tree located in the center of the lower slope. This tree shows generally good health, vigor, and a dense uniform canopy. Based on the favorable site conditions, this tree has the potential to continue to develop into a mature specimen oak tree. The tree is proposed for removal. Oak tree number 2 is a multi-stemmed juvenile coast live oak tree on the west side of the lower slope. This tree appears to be outside of the immediate construction zone and should be retained with minimal impact if tree protection measures are observed. Oak tree number 3 is dead. The tree is located along the ravine on the west side of the lot. The applicant should apply for a separate dead tree permit removal from forestry in order to remove this tree from the site. Oak tree number 4 is a relatively juvenile coast live oak located on the along the ravine on the west side of the lot. This tree is leaning upslope with a large portion of its canopy in the construction zone. It says in the ITR, it states that the tree will be pruned for clearance. ITR meaning Indigenous Tree Report. It says it'll be pruned for clearance to the proposed patio area, for clearance for the proposed patio area and retain. However, due to its fair to poor condition, defective structure, imbalanced canopy, and proximity to grading activity, it is forestry's opinion that this tree will not survive construction, and so forestry recommends that this tree for removal and replacement if construction is to take place adjacent to the tree. Off-site oaks 1, 2, and 3 appear to be located outside the construction area and should be minimally impacted if tree protection measures are observed. So, proposed mitigation measures are outlined in the comments. Due to its generally good structure, size, condition, and establishment, oak number 1 is an appropriate candidate for preservation. Forestry encourages the applicant to consider strategies for limiting the grading on the lower slope so that this tree may be incorporated into the design and allowed to continue to grow in this location. If there's no other option for stabilizing the slope, an oak number 1 must be removed to build a new home on this lot. Forestry requests that 1, the project landscape plan shows 4 15-gallon size new coast live oak trees, grouping oak trees together along the west side of the property near the current location of oak number 3 and number 4, and off-site oaks number 2 and 3 is recommended. This area should be landscaped and maintained in the style of a naturally occurring oak woodland community. All tree protection fencing and tree protection measures per the Indigenous Tree Report are implemented throughout the construction, and the applicant applies for an Indigenous tree permit during plan check. That is the extent of forestry's comments. Now there's comments again from forestry. They seem to be somewhat repetitive.
Correct. There were addendums based on the revised plans.
Okay.
So there should be 3 comments, and
Okay.
the last one.
So the last one is updated December 10th, 2019. And I'll just jump straight to the proposed mitigations, which again, it seems to reiterate what I read previously regarding oak number 1 being a good candidate for preservation, and forestry again encourages the applicant to consider finding ways to preserve that oak tree, and if there's no option for stabilizing the slope and that particular oak tree number 1 must be removed, forestry requests that, again, the project landscape plan show the 4 15-gallon size new coast live oak trees. Again, all protection, fencing, and tree protection measures per the indigenous tree report are implemented, and the applicant complies with the indigenous tree permit during plan check. Unless there's something specific that, and I don't seem to see that is significantly different from the previous comments I read, which I don't see at the moment. Neighborhood services, no comments. Okay, so that's the extent of the comments received. At this time, I will turn it over to the case planner, Velia Zemititis. Will provide some background and analysis on the project and your recommendation.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Toledo. Good morning. This is a case simply for variance for lot size, as stated in the project description. It does have a history. It was originally scheduled back in February, taken off calendar, and ultimately rescheduled for December 2nd, and due to a noticing issue, rescheduled for today. I do have a PowerPoint presentation. It goes into greater detail regarding the neighborhood context as well as the specific site constraints. And I will elaborate on the required findings as well with the staff recommendation at the end. So if you just allow me one moment to bring up. Forgive me. Okay, the variance request is to construct an approximately 2,010 square foot, 3-story single-family residence, as stated on a lot that is 6,708 square feet. Code requires a minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet in order to develop the single-family home. So it is short, approximately 800 square feet from the minimum lot size. The lot also has an average current slope of 60%. There is no CUP requirement. That CUP requirement was eliminated several years back during the changes to the Hillside development standards. There are 4 coast live oaks, as you mentioned during your overview of comments from the maintenance services, the urban forester. 1 is to be removed, which is in the center of the lot within the building footprint. 1 is to be fully preserved. There is 1 dead oak tree that is to be removed, and 1 is to be slightly trimmed. During the February hearing date, the noticing period, there was quite a bit of discussion at that time, several emails regarding the illegal removal of an on-site oak tree back in 2007. This matter has also been brought up today in the numerous emails received by staff. That matter was administratively dealt with by the city attorney and out of court, and this was back in that period in 2007. That case is closed. The statute of limitations has expired, and no further action is required. So essentially, that unpermitted removal 13 years ago of that oak tree has been dealt with by the city attorney's office, and the case is closed. In terms of the project location, the lot is located on the northerly side of Chevy Chase Drive in the Chevy Chase Canyon, located on St. Andrews Drive, surrounded by Cascadia Drive, Chevy Chase, Drury Lane on the south, and it is located in an R1R floor area District 2 zone. All the properties surrounding the project site are also zoned R1R, except for slight portions to to the south, which would be the undeveloped land that is zoned special recreation zone, and parts to the north that are zoned ROS, which is a special open space residential zone. The lot is a hillside lot. According to the survey submitted as part of the application, the average current slope is 60%. The map shown on the screen before you in various colors is a GIS, a Geographic Information Systems map done by the city information, actually. This map shows the lot as being 53% in terms of slope. You'll note that the area is a mixture of somewhat steeper slopes, a few flatter lots along Chevy Chase Drive, and the projects, I should mention the color schemes, that is, the lots in green are ranging between 0% slope and 40% slope. The lots in orange are those between 50% and 60%, and the ones in red are project sites that are greater than 60% slope. Staff also examined all the parcels within 300 feet. And according to the LA County Tax Assessor records, there are 34 properties within a 300-foot radius. 12 of those sites of the 13 are lots that are less than 7,500 square feet. And 9 of those 12 are currently developed with single-family homes. The lots that are outlined in the red triangles are the ones that are less than 7,500 square feet and developed with single-family residential homes. The average lot size within that 300-foot radius is 10,771 square feet. And if you did not include 2 anomalies, these would be lots that are larger than 1 acre, the average would be 8,411 square feet. So it would be a little bit larger if we did not include those 2 anomalies of lots greater than 1 acre. The average house size in the area is 2,341 square feet. And as stated before, 9 of the 34 lots in the radius are developed with single-family residential dwellings on lots less than 7,500 square feet, and that is approximately 26%. So a quarter of the lots within the radius are developed on lots less than 7,500 square feet. Of those 9 developed lots, the average lot size is 6,247 square feet. The subject lot is 6,708 square feet, and the subject house as proposed is 2,010 square feet. Here's an aerial view of the site showing on St. Andrews. You'll note that the larger lot directly to the west on the left-hand side is one of those 1 acre sites. This is an aerial view showing the slope of the lot as it goes down. It's down sloping from St. Andrews Drive down towards Chevy Chase. And here you would see a street view elevation of the lot. The existing site plan indicates, as you can see from the topographic lines, the downslope of the lot, and the lot itself as listed according to the submitted survey is 60%. This would be a proposed site plan showing the driveway location and the various levels superimposed with retaining walls at the rear. Here you see the oak trees outlined in blue, the one sort of towards the south right-hand side would be the one that is slated for removal, and then the other 3 One of the ones that is dead obviously would have to be removed, but the two others are along the westerly interior property line that are to be retained. The house is 3 stories. The upper floor essentially is just the entry and the garage. The lower floor features a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen. And the proposed lower floor features 2 bedrooms and a sitting room. Here you see an elevation drawing of what the house and the garage obviously would look like from St. Andrews at the street level. Here you see the westerly elevation, the rear elevation, and the easterly elevation. I'd also like to point out that this time, the matter of the hearing is solely for the lot size. If approved, the project itself would be coming back for review by the Design Review Board at a separate hearing date. And at that time, the Design Review Board would be looking at the site planning, mass and scale, and design and detailing. So again, the matter before you today is solely for the lot size and whether or not a variance can be approved for development of a single-family home.
And the design review board would also be reviewing the landscape plan showing the oak trees
Correct.
that either, the new ones that potentially may be planted as
Correct.
required by forestry. Okay.
Here you see the cross-section and following somewhat the topography of the lot because it is staggered. This would be a cross-section that's parallel to St. Andrews, so from east to west or west to east. And this would be the north to south cross-section on the other side, again showing the stairwell interior with St. Andrews at the top of the screen and Chevy Chase Canyon and the projects, the property below on the south. Here you see a perspective image of what it would look like from St. Andrews, and the rear elevation perspective, what you might see across the canyon. There are 4 required variance findings as mandated by the state and by our zoning code. And what I'd like to do is go through each of these required findings. And there are also supplemental findings for all Hillside projects, so I will go through those separately as well. The first finding, that the strict application of the provisions of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. As noted in the staff report, the subject site was subdivided in 1926. And adherence to the minimum lot standard of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties and unnecessary hardship and denies the applicant use of the land. There is no opportunity to purchase adjacent lots to increase the lot width and lots area because the adjacent sites are all currently developed. The lot on either side of the subject property already contains a single-family home. The property on the right, or on the east, is actually also less than 7,500 square feet. And according to the LA County tax assessor, the property on the right is actually 4,800 square feet in terms of lot area. The lot on the left, or on the west, is a much larger lot, and that's the lot that was in question, the 1.01 acre, and this property is actually on the historic register. It's property number 93, which is the Farr house. The lot to the south on East Chevy Chase Drive is much larger. It's 8,240 square feet and also developed with a single-family residence. But any lot line adjustment to achieve the minimum 7,500 square feet for the subject lot might result in zoning violations for the adjacent lot and a skewed lot line that would be inconsistent with the surrounding development pattern as required by our Glendale Municipal Code. Therefore, the project will meet the project will meet all other code requirements for the exception of the lot area. The second finding is that there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not generally apply to all other properties in the same zone or neighborhood, in that the lot is legally non-conforming and smaller than today's minimum lot regulations. The Chevy Chase Canyon neighborhood features a number of smaller lots developed with single-family residences. As previously noted, 12 of the 34 lots within the 300-foot subject property radius are less than 7,500 square feet, and those lots range from 4,780 to 7,240 square feet. Again, of those 12 lots, 9 of the lots are currently developed with single-family homes, and the average lot size of those other lots is 6,247 square feet. The variance request will accommodate roughly a modest-sized house of approximately 2,100 square feet. The proposed project location and size blends with the site and the neighborhood. The modest size of the house will accommodate a useful and functional dwelling, which will also address the needs of the owners. The project will have less than minimal impact to the property, the neighbors, and the environment. Subject to final review of the design review board, the project will be compatible in scale and design and with other existing developments in the neighborhood, as well as being consistent with the Hillside design guidelines. Again, additional analysis of the site planning, mass and scale, and architectural style and detailing is provided further on as part of the additional required findings for Hillside development. The combination of the site topography, the lot size, and the R1R zoning standards dictate the location and general design of the house, garage, and driveway. The proposed project is able to meet all other applicable code requirements with the exception of the lot size, which is an existing condition. The third required finding is that granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. The subject site is located in a single-family residential neighborhood containing single-family residential uses to the north, south, east, and west. The residence is proposed towards the center of the 6,708 square foot lot, which is approximately 70 feet wide and downsloped from St. Andrews. While the lot is steep and smaller in area than required by code, a number of homes in the neighborhood are located in lots with similar characteristics. Grading will be minimized as the house will be built into the existing topography of the site, and the footprint of the residence is rather compact at approximately 21 feet in terms of lot coverage. And approximately 46% of the site will remain ungraded and unaltered. The proposed two-car garage and the code-compliant driveway will provide the necessary and required parking on the site for the residents and guests. The proposed house location and configuration is well suited on the site. Similar conditions exist within the area in the community and have not proven to be detrimental to the neighborhood. The subject site has a land use designation of low-density residential, which is designed for development of single-family residences. The project includes the construction of a new single-family house, which is consistent with the intended use and zoning. Lastly, granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. This is the last required finding. The objective of the minimum lot size standards in the R1R zone is to preserve and protect low-density residential neighborhoods and to provide some consistency in newly subdivided areas. The existing 6,708 square foot lot was created in 1926 and located in the Chevy Chase Canyon neighborhood, featuring a variety of hillside lots and developments. Previously noted, almost 1/4 of the existing houses in the immediate area, and that would be within the 300-foot radius, are on lots smaller than today's 7,500 square foot minimum lot size. The subject lot is larger than the average lot size of the substandard lots in the immediate area, thereby preserving the surrounding residential neighborhood. The proposed development complies with all other standards of the code, and approval of the variance would allow reasonable flexibility in land use for the site, which was originally subdivided for a single-family residence. There are additional findings for Hillside projects, and I'd like to go over those as well. Development shall be in keeping with the design objectives in the Glendale Municipal Code, the Hillside Design Guidelines, and the landscape guidelines for Hillside development. Just note that these guidelines all suggest preferred methods to develop single-family homes in hillside areas of the city and recommend minimizing grading to preserve the natural hillside appearance and the open space and any native trees. The proposed residence has a compact footprint and will be located toward the center of the downslope site, and aside from the rear retaining walls below the house, the perimeter of the site will remain ungraded. Grading consists of 375 cubic yards of cut and 400 cubic yards of fill, with 25 cubic yards of import. This amount is relatively low for hillside construction. One indigenous oak tree located in the proposed building footprint and one dead oak tree are to be removed, and 2 remaining live oak trees will be preserved. The guidelines also state that new homes should follow and be built into the topography of the site. And as noted in the previous images of the cross sections and the elevations, the residence building form terraces down the hillside with only the garage and the entry at the street level and 2 living floors below, and those are tucked into the hillside. There is a series of decorative masonry block walls, retaining walls that is, with landscaping in between that provide the structural base for the new single-family house, but that doesn't create an artificially large turf as we've seen in other hillside homes. Additional finding would be that the development shall be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood in terms of size, scale, bulk, mass, roofline orientation, setbacks, and site layouts. As noted, the residence complies with all other setback requirements for the R1R zone. It has a minimum 15-foot setback along St. Andrews and also provides minimum 10-foot interior setbacks on all other inside setbacks area as well. The house is generally located towards the center of the lot and is only 2,010 square feet in size. The 3-story house is approximately 32 feet in height, which is consistent with code, and features a relatively flat roof over the garage and lower living floors. The forms of the southerly facade of the residence facing East Chevy Chase somewhat staggered down the slope of the site in compliance with the Hillside Design Guidelines. The proposed residence appears compatible in size and scale with other homes on St. Andrews Drive in a neighborhood which has an average house size of 2,341 square feet. Neighboring homes are generally larger than the proposed 2,010 square foot residence and are built closer to the property lines. The existing 6,708 square foot subject site is not atypical when compared to the size of many of the lots in the neighborhood. And I have already gone through the percentage of approximately 26% being on lots less than 7,500 square feet. The proposed residence, while considered 3 stories, only has 2 levels of living space. Only the garage is located at the street level with the 2 living levels below and built into the hillside. Aside from the stairwell shaft, the stories tend to step down along the hillside. The roof of the proposed residence is consistent with its contemporary design, a style that's not without precedence in the Chevy Chase Canyon neighborhood, and the design features are used to address the topography of the site and to reduce the appearance of the mass. Third additional Hillside finding is that the site plans show preservation of prominent natural features, native vegetation, and open space in a manner compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, thereby minimizing alteration of terrain necessary for development. The subject site has an average current slope of 60% and is approximately 70 feet wide at the street and approximately 93 feet wide along the rear property line. And I apologize, I'm reading the next finding, but let me go back 1 second. Based on prominent natural features, native vegetation, open space, the proposed project requires relatively minimal landform alteration since the residence is built into the hillside. It has a confined footprint and is located close to the street. There are no protected scenic vistas, blue-lined streams, or primary, secondary ridge lines on the site. There are 4 protected coast live oak trees, and as stated, 2 are to be removed, 2 are to be preserved, and aside from the area of development, the rest of the site will remain in its natural state. Fourth additional hillside finding is that the site plans for development of property on steep slopes take into account the visual impacts on surrounding properties. Here again, the subject site has an average current slope of 60%, a downslope, is approximately 70 feet wide at the street and approximately 93 feet wide along the rear property line. The visual impacts of the proposed single-family house on surrounding properties on St. Andrews will be relatively minimal, since only the 2-car garage will be at the street level, while the 2 bottom living levels will be built into the hillside and lower than the adjacent street. From across the Chevy Chase Canyon, the visual impacts will be greater since the project involves a new residence on a vacant hillside lot, although not abnormal for the single-family hillside neighborhood. The house has been designed to address the topography of the site and staggered following the slope of the lot. The proposed residence is approximately 32 feet in height and with a compact footprint, neither of which is abnormal or would cause adverse visual impacts. Lastly, the last and 5th final additional finding for hillside projects is that the architectural style and architectural elements of an infill development shall be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Just to note that the city's requirements and policies have evolved through the years on the relevance of architectural style in such a way that a particular style of residence is less important than carrying out a chosen style in a quality manner. The proposed residence is designed in a contemporary fashion and uses materials such as a combination of smooth stucco, composite wood siding, decorative stone veneer for the walls, thin profile metal windows, tempered glass balcony railings, apologies, there you go, and decorative retaining block walls at the rear. These materials are common and appropriate for contemporary styled residences. Existing homes in the Chevy Chase Canyon neighborhood are various architectural styles. We have homes that are built in the 1920s that somewhat are bungalows and Spanish styles, a number of mid-century modern, of also various traditional styles as well, and including the newer homes that are obviously in a more contemporary angular vernacular. So with this variety of architectural styles and those that include contemporary styled homes, the proposed project is consistent and will be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Staff believes, lastly, that the findings for the variance can be made and that the project has been designed in accordance with the Hillside standards, and therefore staff recommends that the variance request for the reduced lot size be granted with the 16 proposed conditions of approval. Staff at this time would also like to point out that we received 11 emails back in February during the original scheduled hearing notice period. Those 11 emails have been forwarded to you, the planning hearing officer, for your consideration, and that we have also received 29 emails that have also been forwarded to you. And just to go down the list to make sure that everyone is aware that we have received your email, would be Mark Bessie, Mike Mantic, Marianne Magolich, Dan Bruch, Martha Fasola, Brad Mitchell, Debbie Murray, Palma and John Vincenti, Ray Stapleton, Michael Miles, Timothy Rath, Mr. and Mrs. Gindrow, Staff Gaberson, Greg Rammer, co-president of the Chevy Chase Estates Association, Michelle Colsey, Ken Batchelor, Jean Sears, Pamela Bernier, Frank Lucrezi, Marianne Jennings, Vegan Garibian, Kimberly Burns Turner, Mary Jamora, Pat Garner, Pamela Bernier, I believe that's a repeat, Nicholas and Jessica Camore, Mary Baldwin, and June Falkestein. There's also an email that came from Account Pack, but there was no name associated with the email address. Those emails were in opposition to the proposed project. So with this, that concludes my detailed
Thank you.
presentation, not rather brief, but I wanted to make sure that you receive all the information and that the public
Yes.
hears all of the background for those required findings.
Thank you, Ms. Dematitis. And I just had one question regarding when the lot was subdivided in 1926. Do we know if at that time, or maybe it requires more research, if there was a law in place in our zoning code where it was limiting the lot size for development purposes?
At that time, there was not.
There was not. Okay. And do we know exactly when the law went into effect? We don't.
We would be able to find that for you.
Okay, so with that, I don't have a list of all the callers, but I do know that the applicant is online. So I'd like to give the applicant now and open up the public portion of the hearing and allow the applicant the opportunity to present their case, provide some background, and go over the 4 findings that you've prepared. And you can use the entire 15 minutes or less. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
so
I don't anticipate.
Mr. Vartanian, please state your name and
Yes.
address for the record, please.
My name is Ara Vartanian, and my address is 4659 Forest Circle, I-302, San Diego, California, 92130.
Okay, please.
Hi, thank you. On behalf of my wife and I wanted to thank you for giving us an opportunity to present our application. My name is Ara Vartanian. I'm a software engineer and data scientist, finishing a PhD in computer science from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm joined today also by my wife, Talara Karagian, who is a physician at UCSD. She's WebExing in from the VA hospital today. And I think we're also joined by phone by the architect, Karen Khudikian. So before I discuss the findings, I wanted to say a little bit about myself. I've lived in Glendale for the preponderance of my life. My parents moved here when I was 5. I went to R.D. White Elementary and Wilson Junior High, and then Flintridge. After college, I lived just off Central for a number of years before moving away about 10 years ago now with my spouse to pursue our postgraduate and professional educations. As my spouse's medical training is reaching its completion and my dissertation is wrapping up, we are planning to move back to the community which we grew up in. The lot on St. Andrews is close to the home of my now elderly parents who live along Chevy Chase. It's also a short distance to my brother and his family who lives on Everett, as well as my elderly uncle who lives alone on Cordova. My whole family is here. And for these reasons, my wife and I want to make a home here near our family in a community which we have deep, lifelong roots in. Okay, so let me discuss the findings. First, we do require this variance to be able to proceed. The subject matter at hand is that per the zoning code, the minimum size lot is 7,500 square feet for a new dwelling unit, and the lot size is 6,708 square feet. We have no recourse but to appeal for this variance. The adjacent lots are already developed, and so we don't have the option of purchasing adjacent lots to increase the lot width. The lot to the east is a smaller lot at 4,800 square feet. The lot to the west is a larger lot on the historic register, and our understanding is that in such a situation, lot line adjustments would may themselves trigger zoning violations. Second, there are exceptional conditions which apply to the development of this lot. Our plans meet all the Hillside design guidelines, but for the sole issue of lot size. And on that one issue, the Chevy Chase Canyon neighborhood already contains a number of developed smaller lots. That is, the condition that makes this project worthy of exception is that issuance of the variance would only allow us to move forward with a project that is already fully consistent with the character of the Chevy Chase Canyon neighborhood. As attested to in the staff report, 12 of the 34 lots within 300 feet are less than the ordinance threshold of 7,500 square feet. 9 of them are developed. Our lot at 2508 is larger than the average lot size of those 9 developed residences. It's not only in lot size, though, I want to emphasize. We've been working for the past several years now with community development to ensure that our proposal is fully in line with the quality and characteristics of the neighborhood in every possible way. The plans consist of a home of 2,010 square feet. This is well in line with the house sizes in the community. The immediate neighbor is at 2,192 square feet. The homes at 2516, 2520, and 2530 St. Andrews all click in at under 2,800 square feet. So we think it'll fit right in along the street. It's not particularly big nor particularly small. It's right about in the middle, as the mean house size within the 300 feet area is, I believe, 2,341 square feet. On the third third finding, there's no detriment to public welfare here. The plan is respectful of the neighbors. There's a suitable setback from the street. There's a 10-foot setback between the proposed dwelling and the neighboring property lines. The plans also include provisions for a 2-car garage, so the home would not impact the available parking on the street. The residence is centered on the lot, and care has been taken to minimize the grading by building the home into the existing topography of the site. In fact, if I could quote from the staff report, the amount of grading is, quote, relatively low for hillside construction. The home would only sit on 21% of the lot. The site plans preserve the sense of open space. Only the garage and entry are at street level, with the remaining 2 floors built into the slopes. The roof is contemporary and consistent with other homes in the neighborhood. So what I'm arguing here is that there's nothing exceptional about the characteristics of the proposal in comparing to other homes in the vicinity. Any concerns about detriment can be addressed by appealing to conditions already present, already existing within the neighborhood, and which have been found to be non-detrimental. On the fourth finding, granting the variance would be in keeping with the objectives of the ordinance. The ordinance was put in place to protect neighborhoods from overcrowding and to provide consistency in lot sizes in newly subdivided areas. This lot, however, was created in 1926. originally subdivided for single-family residences. It's not a new lot. And as it is in line with the nearby lot sizes and home sizes, it would not adversely impact the density of the neighborhood. Stepping back from the findings, I just want to say that what we're asking for today is in effect merely permission to move forward with the planning process. We think this is an ongoing process, and there will be details of the proposal that will be under consideration at the time of design review. What we're asking for today is only the acknowledgement that the strict application of the ordinance would result in an insurmountable hardship inconsistent with the intent and purpose of the ordinance itself. We are not asking for approval of any specific features of the plans. We're asking for approval to be able to make use of the land to build a home. My wife and I look forward to working with the city and the community to build a home which will be a boon to the neighborhood. Through this process, I'd just like to say that we welcome the comments and contributions from the community, and we are confident that through the process we will become and remain good neighbors. In closing, I want to thank the city, the community development, the planning hearing officer, and everyone who's been involved in this project for their time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vartanian. Quick question regarding the oak tree.
Yes.
As you heard, there were comments received from Urban Forestry suggesting if there's a possibility to preserve the one existing oak tree.
Yes.
And so the question is there a possibility to preserve the oak?
We are motivated to satisfy, to meet the demands of forestry, and if possible, maintain the ecological validity of the site as much as possible. So I couldn't speak to the technical details of the architectural plan, but I can tell you that we will be committed to exploring all avenues that would make it possible to preserve that oak tree. And as the urban forester suggested, make it a part of the actual plan of the home and the design of the home. I think that's a very appealing option to us. And if we can do it, we surely will.
Great, appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So at this time, I'm going to take the other speaker, and thank you for your comments, Mr. Vartanian. Mrs. Vartanian, are you going to be speaking as well?
Thank you. I think Ara really summarized how we both feel about it. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Do we have more speakers?
Yes, we do have 4 callers, and again, we'd like to remind the audience that you are welcome to call in at 818-937-8100. The number's on your screen if you would like to submit oral comments during today's hearing. The first caller is Jean Simone.
Okay, and they have 3 minutes. We have a timer. And so, Ms. Simone, we can hear you. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Elizabeth Jean Simone. I live at 2440 St. Andrews Drive. I own the historical house next to the proposed building, and we bought the lot in between, which we've chosen to keep green. I'd like to mention that most of the small homes that were talked about repeatedly were built before the design review and the Hillside ordinance. They would not be okay today, and it is today, so this lot is really too small, and comparing it to the houses that have been built previously really isn't unfair. It really is unfair. The owners sound so wonderful about the oak trees. They took out the one oak tree that really was the problem on this property. I know Delia said that it has been mitigated, but nevertheless, that big, huge oak tree right in the middle was chopped down secretly, and they were caught doing it. The Glendale arborist actually confirmed it. The owners of this property knew being able to build on this property would come down to today in front of you all. They hope you will overlook the history of this lot, sold at a loss over and over by developers who realized it is very substandard and unbuildable. They hope you will overlook the fact that they chopped down a beautiful protected oak tree and were caught. The oak tree prohibited building here. They hope you will overlook that knowing the lot was too small, they tried twice to buy land from us to make the lot a buildable size. We didn't sell. They hope you will overlook the steepness of the lot and the possible danger to the homes below. They hope you will overlook the more than 29 emails begging you to deny this project, which goes against all that you are here to protect. We are looking to you to not overlook the issues and not reward these owners. They knew from the beginning that buying this lot was a risk, a big risk. They're hoping you will overlook the history, the small size, the steepness, the chopping down of the beautiful protected oak tree, and all the emails sent to the planner against it. This project does not deserve a reward. It deserves to be denied. I hope you all will do the right thing. And if we are neighbors, so be it. He sounds very nice. Anyway, thank you all very, very much. Bye.
Thank you very much, Ms. Simone.
Apologies. The next caller is Patricia Garner.
Ms. Garner, you have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Ms. Garner, would you please shut off the or mute your television or your computer in the background, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Ms. Garner, would you please mute the television or your computer that's in the background? We have static.
I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're saying. My television set is
Yes, please,
not particularly good.
Ms.
I just
Gardner,
want to go on record saying that I am opposed to
Okay.
this variance
Excuse me,
for the
Ms.
reasons
Gardner.
set forth by Jean Simone. And these variances have been tried before and denied, and they should be denied again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Garner, we had difficulty hearing you. Would you please turn off your television or put it on silent and repeat what you just said, please?
Hello?
Yes? Okay.
Next caller.
The next caller is Mr. Bradford Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell, you're on the air.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for hearing everyone here in the neighborhood. We are at 2430 Cascadia Drive, one lot over from the proposed project. I'm also calling on behalf of June Falkenstein, who has a meeting and was unable to call in herself. Please do not approve this variance. Obviously, if this lot was intended to have a house on it from 1929, there'd be one there. If you dig through the history that's publicly available, this lot has been a loser from the beginning because it's so steep and so small. And, you know, really, they're going to have a hard time if they do get a variance from you guys just getting fire insurance. We're denied by every single company except for going to the California Fair Plan. That's really, you know, the problem in this little canyon is it is totally not a place where you want to be developing new homes, even if they are on the right size lot. But if it is, every one of us in the neighborhood that I've talked to, nobody's against development, but there's a reason that this particular lot has not been developed in all these years. And granting a variance is going to open up a can of worms, because then we're going to grant variances for all the other problem properties. It's going to be a nightmare. So anyway, our vote is to say no, and please do not grant the variance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have another caller?
The next caller is either Rebecca Minas or Cara Minas. Please, you're on the air. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Minas?
Yes, right here.
Yes, hello.
Please state your name and address for the record.
2537 St. Andrews Drive,
And
and
your,
that's the same street.
and your name, please?
Rebecca Mina,
Okay.
and my husband Carl Mina.
Okay, please, we can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to say I see absolutely no reason why this house should not be made, should not be built. They have bought it's a legal lot. They have bought it, and if it was not supposed to, they should not have sold it to them. They have bought it. They have a dream. I absolutely see no reason that it should not be built.
Okay, is that the extent of your comment?
That's it. Yes.
In support?
I think it's actually going to beautify the area as well. So I'm all for it.
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna make it clear, you're calling in support of the variance request, correct? Hello, Ms. Minas? Yes. Just for clarification purposes, are you in support of the variance request?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Are you in support of the variance request?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just needed to clarify that because I couldn't
Sorry
hear it
about that.
earlier.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Do we have any other callers?
And the last caller is Kathy Yurka. Ms. Kathy Yurka, you're on the air.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Ms. Yurka. We can hear you. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Kathy Yurka, 1845 Neodrera Drive, Glendale. I'm calling on behalf of the Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council, and I'm calling to express the council's opposition to granting the variance. This is an unbuildable lot in the R1R zone. And of course, it's a hardship not to be able to build on an unbuildable lot. Staff reported that the project meets all standards aside from the lot size. It's a bit astonishing to have something as fundamental as lot size treated as though it were a non-conforming side setback or a non-conforming garage. You cannot make the required findings in this case. A variance may be granted if the strict application of the provisions of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. The purpose of the lot size requirement is to prohibit single-family houses on lots that do not meet the minimum threshold. I wanted to say that I actually serve on the Historic Preservation Commission, and it is not the case that it would be impossible to adjust a lot line with a historic property. I would also ask you please be mindful that you would not only be approving this house, but you would also be approving a mandatory 800 square foot ADU on the property. No promises can be made about future grading or future development given state law. I would like to conclude by saying that with all respect for the work that staff put into this, both presenting the case and hearing it, these cases should not be decided at 9:30 in the morning, and they should not be decided by a Glendale planning staff member who is reviewing the recommendation of another Glendale planning staff member, both of whom work for the same boss. There is an inherent inappropriateness built into this process. I know that process is not of your making, but I've always found the way these are handled to be just bizarre. Anyway, thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ms. Matitis, do
Yes,
we have any other callers?
We do. We actually have two additional callers. Paula and John Vincenti. You're on the air. Mr. and Mrs. Vincenti, you're on the air. Hello? Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Vincenti?
Yes?
Yes, hello, you're on the air.
Right now? Somebody else is still talking, it sounds like.
There is a delay on the television.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't mind turning off your or muting your television or your computer.
Okay, it's off.
Thank you.
Okay.
You are on the air. Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record, Ms. Vincenti.
Yes, it's Palma Vincenti, 3365 Figueroa Street in Glendale, and I'm calling to voice an objection to granting a variance to this property by both my husband, John Vincenti, and myself. And I would like to refer to finding number 4, which, as I understand it, is the property in keeping with the ordinance of the objective of the ordinance. And that is referring to the density of the neighborhood. What concerns me is the fact that this lot was created in 1926. What is that, like 75 plus years ago, with that minimum size? And we're taking a look at it and today's standards when so many other homes have been developed in that area. I'm very concerned about the narrow street congestion and the problems that arise out of that. There's such density in that part of Chevy Chase Canyon right now. And when we take a look at the climate change situation and how it is affecting our neighborhoods in Glendale with the tremendous wildfires, very, very difficult to get a fire engine into that area, and just street congestion from parking. These people have a big family. They sound very close. People will be coming and visiting and populating the street with their cars for visiting. So I don't feel that, from what I know, that really meets finding number 4, the objectives of it. Also, it concerns me about the removal of that huge tree and the integrity of the people, even though I understand it has been settled, but still, the character of the people who would do something like that, I think, makes us have to wonder, are they going to do something like this with other trees on the property? I'd just like, in closing, to say that, in quoting the Sunset Western Garden book, when we're talking about the trees, the 4 trees that you require to be planted, a tree coming from a nursery could grow to 50 feet. It will take 25 years to replace what they want to take down. And I'm sure that tree is larger than 50 feet right now. So please take these things into consideration. And I just want to say that, yes, we do object to granting a variance to this property. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much. Do we have another caller?
Yes, the next caller is Mary Baldwin. Ms. Baldwin, you're on the air.
Hello, Planning Commission. Thank you for taking my call. I am opposing this variance for quite a few reasons. One, I live on Adams Hill. Substandard lots, this would set a precedent that we don't want to have to fight this fight. I have a very unique perspective on this because I was the one who discovered the cutting of the tree. I worked in Chevy Chase Canyon. I was delivering mail, and I came upon people cutting down the oak tree on the vacant lot on St. Andrews. As a longtime resident of Glendale, I knew that this was illegal, so I informed the neighbors, and you know the rest of the story. This is not the first time I witnessed illegal cutting. The common thread on the removal of protected oaks was usually impending construction or proposal of a house. We would not even be having the discussion, really, if that tree was still there. But removing the protected oak did not eliminate the rest of the problems with this lot. It is too small and too steep, and we on Adams Hill are going to suffer if you allow this variance. We've already had people try to cobble together lots that are too small and build a house. Purchasing a lot that is too small to build on is really a roll of the dice. One is not guaranteed anything. And to be honest with you, I don't find the people credible about maintaining the ecological integrity of this hill. I witnessed myself the cutting of this tree. It's traumatic still. It may have been dealt with by the city, but this has happened before in Chevy Chase Canyon, and what the people do is wait a little bit of time and then ask forgiveness. The lot's too small. I know Chevy Chase Canyon because I was born and raised here, but also 33 years working it. I saw a lot of things go on in that canyon, and this is one of the most egregious ones. I don't find that you reward illegal activity with a variance or permission to build. I mean, like I said before, it will affect every substandard lot on every hillside in the city if you allow this to move forward. Glendale used to be known as the Tree City. And here you are discussing removal of oaks as if it was nothing. I'm sorry that these people picked a lot that is unsuitable. I feel very bad for them, but I think the reverberations of this is just going to be too much for the rest of the city to bear. Thank you very much.
Ms. Baldwin, can you please provide us your address for the record?
My address is 1131 Oberlin Drive in Glendale.
Okay, thank you much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Do we have any other callers?
No, there are no other callers today.
Okay. Mr. Vartanian?
Yes.
You have a 5-minute rebuttal. If you can make some comments and perhaps respond to some of the comments that have been presented by the public, please.
Yeah, sure, certainly. I want to thank everybody for calling in, and I want to say that we really welcome the input of the community on several neighbors, for example, touched on the issue of fire insurance. I understand it's difficult to obtain, but we do know that the community is developed, that other people have obtained it. So we at this point don't imagine our hardship there or difficulty there would be any greater than what other people what other people are already encountering and are thriving under. That is to say, this is a thriving neighborhood, and if they make it work, we should be able to make it work. I also want to say that we're talking today about only a variance. It's not as if it's not as if were this variance to be granted, there'd be shovel hitting dirt, anytime soon. This is part of a process, and all we are asking for today is the variance. And by that I mean, us as people who plan to live there and become part of the community, we have no interest in designing a house that would in any which way be in any way unsafe or difficult or anything like that. The first caller said something about how we're wanting the city to overlook this and that. We don't want the city to overlook anything. We want the city to be involved in helping us make the project a success. We want the city and the community to be involved in helping us make this project a success. And so this today is only about the lot size itself and a variance on the lot size. All these issues, we're going to do our very best to address them when the time comes, because we're the ones who would be living there. On the issue of the tree, I just wanted to say also that we are very committed to any kind of change in plans that might allow us to preserve the existing tree, but also the urban forester has recommended mitigations that would plant further trees, 4 new trees, I believe, farther down the canyon. So I understand that people are unhappy with what happened in 2007. However, I could say that if we're allowed to move forward, we can make this process whole for everybody and help restore the ecology of the neighborhood. So I think that's all I have to say in terms of
I
specific
do
development.
recall just one thing. I recall that there was a comment about an ADU. I don't recall
yes.
seeing an ADU on these
No,
plans.
that's right. And I want to say also that like this is a home for us. It's a modest home for us. We have no plans whatsoever of building an ADU on it. I don't. That's not on our radar. So look, I also don't understand the criteria which says that that would be a reason to deny us. If that is something that other homeowners in the area already have by their rights of homeownership, then I don't see how it could be a reason to deny us, use of the land in the same way that other people enjoy it. Similar with comments about people coming over and having family members visit us or things like that. There wouldn't be any parking with the 2-car garage. There's not going to be any additional parking congestion on a day-by-day basis. If somebody comes to visit, that's what sort of life's about. So.
Okay. So it appears that I don't have any other callers. I don't have any other speakers wishing to speak. And so therefore, at this time, I am going to close the public portion of the hearing. And what I'd like to do now, I'd like to go over the emails that I had received, or that the case planner received and forwarded to me. Since there's so many, I wanted to go over them at this time. So we had received, and Billy, the case planner had gone over the list of all the names. So I'll try to summarize some of the longer comments. This is from Gloria Gama, or Gama. Their concern is with, they want to build a 3-story structure. The applicant wants to build a 3-story structure. To the right of this location is a historic home. To the left are normal split-level homes. Having a 3-story structure would compromise the integrity of the neighborhood, and this would be out of place just up the street from the location of St. Andrews, which is what is referred to as mini mansions. The house does not blend with the neighborhood, and there are at least 10 cars parked there at any given time, with many people living there. The house is not kept up with the number of cars and people coming and going, more like a restaurant. I guess they have some acquaintances or relatives that live at 2508. And someone built a 3-story structure next to them years ago and obstructed their view, which was what drew them to purchase their home. This 3-story structure will be sold soon, and we are hoping that it does not become another house with multiple cars and multiple people living there. At one point in time, there was a regulation in place that stopped allowing building large structures in neighborhoods such as ours. That regulation was lifted, I believe, with the past year. Now we're back to folks wanting to build these large structures in quaint neighborhoods such as ours. Besides what I've mentioned, the 1-lane road barely supports the traffic of those in the neighborhood, and there's definitely no room for 2 cars to pass by, and it is often dangerous, as there are many blind curves. We're not in favor of the 3-story structure being built, creating an increase in traffic and population in small neighborhoods. They would like to keep the neighborhood intact and in line with the surrounding structures. Okay, that was the extent of that. From Blanca Bruzuela, we are very pleased with this project, and I hope they can do it. So this letter is in favor. It's very good, and I appreciate you have my support.
Ms. Toledo, are you reading over the emails from the February date?
I
or
am
from-
first, yes.
Okay.
I'm doing the February emails first, and then I'm going to go to the more current emails next. A lot of emails to go through. Paul Marr, they are in opposition against the project due to the size of the lot. Same with Jim Markovich. Tim Krugsack is in opposition, but to the variance. Another email in opposition, Jacob Gibson. Pat Garner also in opposition. Nicholas and Jessica Kumori. Project should not be allowed to move forward. And they had concerns about the oaks. From Diane, also has concerns regarding the variance request. And then we have those, that was the extent of the February emails. Now, the more recent emails, it seems like, I've gone through them already, and it seems to have this, the concern is the same regarding the variance request. There were some comments about the oak, and I do recall there was a comment about the site posting. Now, the site was posted physically, and everyone was also notified of this public hearing. Because there's so many emails, and I have already read through them, if anyone would like, this is public record. You can request copies if you'd like to review them from the case planner. So at this time, what I'd like to do is I'm going to take the case under submission and render a decision in writing. So now the hearing is officially closed. Thank you all who called in and for your participation and those joining us today. The time is 11:06 in the morning on Wednesday, December 9th, 2020.